So I went and logged into my ChatGPT account and I just typed in commands for Git workflow, and it actually gave me pretty much like very useful information regarding the Git commands. It's actually very helpful, and especially if you have the basic understanding of the Git commands, ChatGPT can help you, just provide you with that information so that you don't need to memorize, or if you forget something you can just type in those things and it'll be very fast. So I'm just actually gonna follow ChatGPT GPT suggestion for our task in this video. So it tells me to go ahead, initialize the Git, and clone the repo if I'm pulling the change, which I'll show in my next video. For this video, we'll initialize, and then we'll check the status of our Git, and then we will add our changes, we'll commit our changes, and I'll push my changes. So these 6 tasks, plus I'll also go ahead and look for the Git logs. So I'll use these 7 commands that ChatGPT provided me with in this video, and then we'll go ahead and perform in this order. So let us now go to um, our repo. So now let me actually get the root permission. So actually let me first clear everything. So to get a root permission, I will do sudo su space and hyphen. So this will give me a root permission. Right now, if you see, I'm a EC2 user. Sorry, my bad. I'm a EC2 user. So once I type in sudo su dash, then I'll turn into a root user. So this is very useful command, which I was very unaware as a beginner. But there are many tasks that you can only perform as a root user, and you will see that once we move into Terraform, Ansible. So this is one thing you need to understand. So being a root user is vital to running some of the commands. So once I'm signed in as a root user, so let me do ls list all my file, uh, ll. So there is nothing here. So let me first go ahead and install Git. So it's yum install Git tag y. So this y will um, not ask me for any. It's like a silent download option. So once I hit enter, easy as it is. So now we have Git installed in our virtual machine. So let me go to the top, and if I now type in Git version, I have Git installed on my virtual machine. How easy is that process? And it's so fast and so easy. So now I'll go along with ChatGPT suggestion, right? So first, let me go ahead and create one folder. And if you forgot about this command, you can again go ahead and watch the earlier video. And I have explained you like some basic Git command to create a folder and create file inside those folder, go inside those folder, and come back and move around. So some basic Linux command. And again, if you want a separate video just for the Linux command, let me know. I'll go ahead and make that video um, just for you. All right. So now let us create our first folder. So let's say make directory mkdir. Um, let's do my first uh, push, right? So now if I do ls, I'll see that my first folder is created. So I'll just go ahead to cd my, and you can just hit the tab button and it'll bring you uh, it will auto complete the rest for you. So cd my first push. So I'm inside my first push folder. So when I explained to you earlier um, regarding this my first push right now is your working directory, so local working directory. So now if you want to convert this local working directory into a local repository, it's very straightforward. So all you need to do, as per ChatGPT suggestion, git init. So once you initialize, you already have a local repository created. So now if you see here ls al command, you will see that there is this .git folder. So what this means is, so now this is your local Git repository. So you have turned your working directory into a local repository just by that command git init. So that's the first thing we did. So now let me just do ls. And if I do ls, you see I don't see anything. I need to do that ls hyphen al command. So that will show me like all the um, file which begins with dot structure. And that was also very confusing for me as a beginner, because there are certain like ssh file, dot sss file will store our key. For those um, we need that lsal command. So be wary of those kind of stuff, and I'll show you that uh, in the in our videos as well. So now let us go ahead and create two different files. So let's say from the last video, so touch say file, say file1.txt and file2.txt. So touch command is simply one way of creating a file. So two different files are created here. So now if I do ls, I have my two files, and I have also initialized um, this of my first push folder into a local repository. So that way now I can start typing in some git commands. So let's so again, just for your clarity, so let me go back cd dash dash. If I do ls, I have this my first push folder, and cd my tab, I see these two files. So I want to see what's the status of this file. So I'll do git status. And if you see, these both file1 and file2 are untracked up to this point. So what this means is Git has still not tracked this file, or it's not added or committed. So that's the thing I was mentioning, explaining you earlier. This mnemonic ACPU. So it just means we'll need to add whatever changes we have in our local repository, and then we'll commit. Let me do this. So we'll first go ahead add, we will commit, and then we will push the changes. So this is the basic workflow. So if you understand this, you will remember like what process we will be following. So again, I'm just refreshing this idea. Add, commit, and push. So now let us follow the same mnemonics and try to add add our file, commit our file, and push our file. So now we have initialized our Git repository, and we have also checked the status of our file. So now let us go and try command 4 and 5. So it says first we add, and if we want to add individual file, we do git add file, or if we want to add everything, we'll do git add space dot. So this will add everything that we have made change in our working directory. And then we'll commit our change, which is git commit hyphen m with a message. So let us go ahead and try 4 and 5. So let me go back here. I see ls two different file. So I can do git add. If I want to go ahead with individual file, I can do git add um, file 1 tab. So if I do this one, now if I do git status, I'll see one of my file is added with green one, file one, that's the added to the staging area, while file two, you see with the red, it's not added. So if I want to do it individually, I do it that way. And also if I want to mm, revert back the added change, I can simply follow the command it's showing here right here. So I can do um, git rm cac cast, and then if I do file one dot txt. So now if I do git status, you see both of the file are on track now. So if you added a file to a staging area, but you need to make some change and you want to revert that change, you can just simply write that command rm hyphen hyphen cast. So now let me go ahead and add both of the file at the same time. So let me come back here. So let me do git add space hyphen dot. So that means you'll add everything. So now if I do git status, you'll see both of the file are added to the staging area. So that is done. So now the next step is we commit those changes. So this is added in the staging area. So now we'll commit it. So git commit and with a message m, and we can do something like this is my first commit close. All right. So, and there are certain things you are already seeing here. So you see it's saying uh, based on your username. So Git basically configured uh, your username based on your account, and this is some configuration I'll show you in a while. So this is quite important because in a real work setting, what happens is sometimes we need to set this configuration. Otherwise, we'll not be able to push our changes from our local machine to the remote server because it's usually associated with your company's account. So you need to set this up first. And this was again another challenge for me as a beginner because I didn't know that I need to set this configuration, and I wasn't able to push my code. And then I was like, what's going on? And then later I realized once I added my company's email and password, then I was able to push this. So I'll show you how we're gonna do that. So now once we committed this, so if I do git status again, status, all right, so nothing to commit. So everything is already committed. So you see two files changed, zero insertion, zero deletion. So both of these files are committed. And another thing I want to show you based on this is I know on line 11 it says about git log, right? So this will um, tell us about the logs, whatever are there in the log. So I can just go ahead and do git log, and so if I do, sorry, copy and paste, so it will give me information about what was in that file, and all those information will be inside this log. So log will, and I will actually will go ahead and um, create something inside this file, and then we can, like, I'll show you exactly how log can be helpful. So if you see, log will show you like this is my first commit and all the information uh, regarding this particular file. So so this is the part that log will help you, and there are some more details which I'll show you. So before we do anything, so now we went ahead, we initialize our git repo, we checked the status, we added our file to the staging area, and we committed our change. So we now will go ahead and uh, push our code. But before doing that, if you remember, I mentioned earlier about like pad token. So we need to go ahead and generate that, because for our first push, Git will ask, Git wants to authenticate our user, because it wants to make sure the local machine user is the same as the remote host, GitHub host. So just for that sake, we'll go ahead and go to our repo, and we'll click here, we'll go to settings, and you'll see developer setting at the bottom. We'll go here, and there is personal access token. So we'll go ahead and hit the classic token. So again, regarding this, there are a couple of ways of doing it. So one way is using personal access token, but I've also seen in most organization, without this, we also use SSH key, which we will use to authenticate um, the user with the repo. So um, that is another way of accessing it. And if you want to know more about it, how do we set up SSH key and access using that, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll make another video for that one, because that is also another way. And I think that's a more professional way of pushing your code in a company setting. So for this one, we'll just go ahead and generate a new token, and I'll do the classic for this one. So I'll say uh, git, let's say git push token and 30 days. So I'll go ahead and do, let's say, mm, yeah, I can try with 30-day token. And the scope, like the scope of this particular token is most of the time it works just for the repo. So as long as I can uh, work with my repo, I can do the commit, I can do the push. So as long as the scope is associated with my repo. So now once I do that, I'm good here, and I'll go ahead and generate a token. So I'll get this one, and make sure to copy and like copy this somewhere where it's safe and you don't forget it, because you will need that. So from this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna save it here. And now if I go ahead and see the personal token, I see I have git push token, and this is the password. So we also have our token setup. So now once we have this token set up, let us go ahead and uh, try to push our code.